Hello everyone, here is another random video for all of you. I always wanted to do a video about Oprah Winfrey. In this video, I would dig very deep. Oh, this isn't to bash any of my African American people because if any of you know me, I talk about all races on this channel. So let's get started. Okay, we all know from her TV show, talk show, Oprah, and from The Color Purple, which is one of my favorite movies. Oprah Winfrey and Whoopi Goldberg are amazing. I'm a huge fan of them both and countless of the movies they have done. Oprah Gail Winfrey was born on January 29, 1954. Oprah was named Orpah, which is on her birth certificate, believe it or not, after the biblical figure in the book of Ruth. But people mispronounced it regularly and Oprah just kind of stuck.
Well, I was born, as I said, in rural Mississippi in 1954, and I was born at home. And there were not a lot of educated people around. And my name had been chosen from the Bible. My Aunt Ida had chosen the name, but nobody really knew how to spell it. So it went down as Orpah on my birth certificate, but people didn't know how to pronounce it. So they put the P before the R in every place else other than the birth certificate. So on the birth certificate, it is Orpah. But then it got translated to Oprah, and so here we are. But that's great because Oprah spells Harpo backwards. I don't know what Orpah spells. So
Now here's where it gets really, really weird and very, very tricky. Now, you remember I told you that Orpah was pretty much mentioned in the book of Ruth in the Hebrew Bible. She was from Moab and was the daughter-in-law of Naomi and the wife of Chilion. After the death of her husband, Orpah and her sister-in-law Ruth wished to go to Judah with Naomi. However, Naomi persuaded Orpah to return to her people and to her gods. Now, I mention this is because doesn't it sound so much like Oprah's life? How she had to go back and forth to her grandmother, to her mother, and all of those sorts of places. And basically, at the end, she was sent back to her grandmother, and pretty much coincides with Naomi persuading Orpah to return to her people, which is to her gods, pretty much back to her roots, and that's where she blossomed. The same thing with Oprah. So this pretty much states that Oprah was in fact destined to live the life that she did as a child. She was picked out at birth right along with her name. Take a look at this.
I was raised on a farm with my grandmother for the first 6 years of my life. I knew somehow that my life would be different and it would be better. I never had a clear-cut vision of what it was I would be doing. I just always felt somehow. I remember absolutely physically feeling it at around 4 years old. I remember standing on the back porch. It was a screened-in porch, and my grandmother was boiling clothes because at that time we didn't have washing machines, and so people would physically boil clothes in a great big iron pot. She was boiling clothes and poking them out, and I was watching her from the back porch, and I was 4 years old, and I remember thinking, my life won't be like this. My life won't be like this. It will be better. And it wasn't from a place of arrogance. It was just a place of knowing that things could be different for me somehow. I don't know what made me think that.
Now, most of us unfortunately may have been molested, whereas by cousins, fathers, uncles, you name it. Oprah has also stated she was molested by her cousin, uncle, and a family friend. Starting when she was only just 9 years old. She tried telling her family about the alleged abuse, but like most families and mothers, they refused to accept it. But this is why Oprah had chosen not to be a mother, because of the lack of motherly love she had upon growing up. Take a look at this.
Well, I was living with my mother and living under circumstances that a lot of young children have to deal with today. Even we weren't living in the projects, and if you had asked me at the time if we were poor, I probably would have said no, because when you are living it, and you don't know anything else. You think that's the way life is. And I was raped when I was 9 by a cousin and never told anybody until I was in my late 20s. Not only was I raped by a cousin, I was raped by a cousin and then later sexually molested by a friend of the family and then by an uncle. It was just an ongoing, continuous thing. So much so that I started to think, this is the way life is. And not until, I'd say, a year ago did I release the shame for myself. Because I was in the middle of an interview with a woman named Trudy Chase, who has multiple personalities and was severely abused as a child. And I think it was on that day that for the first time I recognized that I was not to blame because I became a sexually promiscuous teenager. And as a result of that, got myself into a lot of trouble and believed that I was responsible for it. It wasn't until I was 36 years old, 36, that I connected the fact, that's why I was that way. I always blamed myself. Even though intellectually I would say to other kids, I would speak to people and say, the child is never to blame. You're never responsible for molestation in your life. I still believed I was responsible somehow, that I was a bad girl. And just released it in the middle. And so it happened on the air, as so many things happened for me, happened on the air in the middle of somebody else's experience. And so I thought I was going to have a breakdown on television. And I said, stop, we've got to stop rolling cameras. And they didn't. And so I sort of got myself through it. But it was really quite traumatic for me.
Oh, it gets deeper. At the age of 13, after suffering years of abuse, Oprah ran away from home. However, while away, when she was just 14 years old, she became pregnant. But her son, who was born prematurely, had died shortly after birth, supposedly. This story later got sold to the National Enquirer by her greedy Siamese family in 1990. Anyway, she began going to Lincoln High School, but after early success in the Upward Bound program, she was then transferred to an affluent suburban Nicollet High School, where she was constantly teased and belittled because of the lack of money. She then began to steal money from her mother so that she can keep up with the rest of the kids, but this caused an even bigger rift with her mother and her. Then, like always, her frustrated mother once again sent her to live with her grandmother in Vernon in Nashville, Tennessee, though this time she did not take her back. Vernon was very strict but encouraging and made her education a priority. Oprah became an honor student, was voted most popular girl, and joined her high school speech team at East Nashville High School, placing second in the National Dramatic Interpretation. She won an honorary contest, which secured her full scholarship at the Tennessee State University, a historically black institution where she studied communication. Her first job as a teenager was working at a local grocery store at the age of 17. Oprah won, believe it or not, the Miss Black Tennessee Beauty Pageant. She also attracted the attention of the local black radio station, WVOL, which hired her to do the news part-time. She worked there during her senior year of high school and then again while in her first 2 years of college. Then she became the Oprah that we see today. Let's move on. Now, Oprah was the first black news anchor in Nashville, Tennessee. Well, it was around this time she was introduced to the grimy ways of news. I read a book called A Perfect Life from one of my favorite authors, Daniel Steele. And in this book, it's about the reporter that has a daughter who's blind. But what's fascinating is how isolated she is. She too had a rough childhood and marriage. She used her work to hide from her past demons and problems. She never had a close relationship with her mother either. So she sent her daughter to this top school for the blind to live. I brought this up because Oprah and she have many things in common. She too got involved with a man that wasn't fully committed and then later come to find out he was married. But this seems to be the man she's attracted to. Men with boundaries, men that are emotionally unavailable. Let's take Oprah and Stedman. She's been with this man for some time now and never married him, although it's been rumored that he have asked her several times. But you all have to understand it's control she needs. Upon getting married, you lose a certain realm of control. Oprah doesn't like to feel trapped and or powered over. So therefore, she disregarded marriage and remained career driven. Being career driven is controllable, especially if you're good as she. Not to mention she's an Aquarius, such as I. We're known for being career driven, also big hearted, which could be a downfall sometime. Now that her career was in order, let's allow the devil to chime in. Okay, at this point, Oprah was becoming idolized, and the devil chimed in, as I just stated. Or was it something else? Anyway, she then was offered a bigger deal, but she had to first denounce Jesus. And now, this is where it gets tricky. People, you need to understand, you can't reach the height in which Oprah is at by being this angelic force. It's no such thing, and I'm just being honest. Now, there was some rumors back in the day that was told that Oprah had a lot of legal battles with farmers when it came to how beef was being processed. She stopped investing in the farming industry, and she even insulted the farming community, whom later tried to sue her, but of course they lost. I have to admit, this battle, I'm on her side. I'm a vegan and I hate how they treat cows. Anyway, it was even told that Oprah has invested in a lot of political races, as we know, especially Clinton and Obama, which you all should know if you're a fan of hers. She was even in their campaigns. It was her investment and popularity that holds her power today. She even has some mayors and congressmen in her pocket, even world leaders. Again, you don't get this famous without selling out. Oprah is a living, breathing pagan goddess. Her voice rings and her influence is powerful. But the question is it for good or bad? You guessed it. She's both. In order to convince both parties, you have to have the element of both sides. Okay, it was told that Oprah was offered a head seat at the table of NBC, which is where her TV show, I believe, was broadcasted. Anyway, the same station that Cosby tried to buy, but they offer her a seat at the table. Why? Because she has a huge following and true intent shows. She literally does care. She's not just interested in power. Notice I said just not interested, because she is somewhat interested in power. Anyway, moving on. Like some people we know, hence my man Bill Cosby, which is the main reason why he wanted to buy it. But and for money purposes, stuff like that. Anyway, but it was rumored that she may have bought B&T instead. That was a rumor that was floating around, although she never publicly confirmed it. At least I didn't see it anywhere on the internet. She may have, but I didn't see it. Anyway, it wasn't just that. It was the master class in which she created, which is a program whereas famous celebrities tell them depth and personal stories that you never heard of before and that are handpicked by Oprah. Kind of like joining a secret club or religion. You confess your sins to God and He make you pure. This is not a learning camp. This is, no offense, a cult. Oprah is very narcissistic. Growing up, not feeling loved and or liked, to having this constant need of wanting to feel important. This is where Oprah is at the moment. She loves the attention. She loves feeling like a god. She loves feeling like the beacon of the community. It feeds her ego. It's like a drug that she gotta constantly have. That's what she's needing. She's seriously possessed by something. It's either a god or demon or both. Who the heck knows? But that's what I'm saying when I see her. That's what I see. Her true intentions is power. That's what she wants. She wants power. I'm sure she does care, but deep down inside, it's all about power and popularity. And that's currently where she's at. I read a book once. The book is called Hip Hop Illuminati. In this book, she gives reference to how far back the Illuminati goes, as we pretty much know. The writer states that she personally knows entertainers whom were promised fame, money, and power if they sold out. Unfortunately, selling out has a different meaning. For the most part, the entertainers are simply a pawn to a much bigger game. She also points out how long the Illuminati has been around, as I just stated, but its infiltration to the hip hop, which is pretty much new. She also makes notes to many classical composers who were known to the Illuminati, like Brenda, Benedict, Hacker, and so on and so forth. You see, the Illuminati appeared as early as 1791, and particularly the Magic Flute, whereas revived by Disney and opera performed by Wolfgang Mozart to a German libretto by Emmanuel O. And do know Schikaneder and Mozart were both Masons and Lodge brothers. However, the most known supporters are Oprah Winfrey, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and so on and so forth. Yeah, the list is very long. As I said, it was not unplanned when Oprah denounced her belief in God, as I mentioned earlier, on national television. Many people were turned away from God that day. You may also recall that Oprah despised hip hop culture until Jay-Z denounced Jesus in his Empire State of Mind rap album. I pretty much talked about this in one of my many videos. I will leave the link to that below. Anyway, next thing we see Jay-Z as a guest on her talk show. Also, incidentally, the acronym for Oprah Winfrey Network is OWN, as you pretty much know. But did you know that backwards it means NWO, as in New World Order? Oprah is the head of the pyramid. Her job is to recruit many people and turn them away from God. But she must use the trickery and give intentions that she care. For example, the spot she gave T.D. Jakes and the deal she cut with Tyler Perry, who, by the way, went from going against the network and them barring him from doing many things like using Jesus and all that stuff, which he said in many of his plays. At the end, he said that. I will leave the link to that below as well. And now he's working with them, coinciding with him, getting paid millions from them, building TV shows and networks in the empire from them. Again, another member of the New World Order, the Illuminati, and that will be my next video. Hence, hence. Hey, there's more. Don't forget to check out and sign up for my website. You can get an inside look at unlisted videos and a sneak peek at my upcoming video script. You can also see the making of one of my videos. Even have a personal chat with me and much more. So become part of the Truth Show family. There is no fee, just donation. You can help me build and recruit more leaders and open more eyes. Oh, don't forget to follow me and or like me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you want to listen while working out or driving, listen to me on SoundCloud and Spreaker. All the links are below. Hope to see you all soon.